Hi Phil, Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine. I did a video a while ago called Spin and Story, which is where I picked out specific tracks, singles, and talked about the stories behind them and the memories I've got of them. I think the first one was Pat Travers and Rock and Roll Susie, I think. This one is Status Quo and Down Down. Christmas 1974, Status Quo, Down Down 1974. And the kind of inspiration behind this video really is, did you ever yourself buy a single, didn't matter when it is, obviously this one is 74, and you played it over and over again? And I mean over and over again. I don't just mean like 2 or 3 times. I mean, you just kept putting it back on and back on, to the case that anyone else in the house, in my case, my parents, thought there was something wrong, and they just couldn't understand why someone would keep playing the same track over and over again. But this one, Down Down by Status Quo, was one of those. I'd been getting into Status Quo more kind of enthusiastically through 73. With Caroline. I love that. I love the way it started. It was a typical thing that I would love, because it was this kind of guitar riff that would start and then other instruments would come in behind it and off it would go, and they would really double down on it. I just love that kind of thing. I still do. And then I remember, being at school in the queue waiting for lunchtime, and one of my friends, Paul, said, "Have you heard the new Status Quo single?" And I hadn't. So I think I went home that night after school and had Radio 1 on, because Radio 1 played obviously the music that I was into. It's very different to how it became, and eventually it got played, and I thought it was absolutely amazing. I thought it was the best thing I'd ever heard. Just to kind of overlap what I'm saying now, the album that this track was from was on The Level, which came out in early 1975, in 1975 is when I left school. And ironically, I didn't buy this at the time. Now, you'd think I would have done, but I'd heard tracks from this, and my favourite Quo album was Quo, Pile Driver, Hello, obviously. And there was something about this that didn't quite carry across what I expected. And in fact, even though Down Down was longer on here, I preferred the single, maybe because I'd played it so much. But I just didn't tire of it. I even bought, and I can't find this, I'm sorry, but I can't. And I haven't seen it for years, so I probably don't have it anymore. But I bought the sheet music for Down Down by Status Quo. I just started to try and learn to play the guitar. And I thought, well, Status Quo, how many chords are there? People used to take the mickey out of them at school, saying, "Oh, Quo, all the songs sound the same." I thought, well, I stand a chance. But actually, when you listen to Down Down and watch it, and it's a driving rock song, but it's actually, when I spoke to Francis Rossi, and I interviewed him, a lot of his music was written on acoustic guitar, so the melodies are really strong. But when you listen to the music and play, it's actually more complex than you realise. To such a degree that because I was learning to play the guitar, I was trying to imagine that one day I might be in a band. I might actually be on a stage somewhere playing music like this. And so, and I didn't have a record player upstairs in my bedroom. I had a tape machine that only played tapes. It didn't record them. So the only way I could play my records was on my dad's Grundig Dynatron Music Centre. The speakers are about 4 foot away from each other, little speakers, but from those days it's like a massive piece of furniture with a lift up lid and a radio in it and everything, and room for about 20 records, because that's, I think, how many records I think the music business thought anyone would have at any one time. And there was like a bit of space for a tape-to-tape deck or something, but that was it. So I had to wait until my mum and dad went out before I could put a record on. And obviously there was something about putting a single on and then getting up again and putting it on. And the Dynatron had this thing where the singles could drop down. So you could play, you could put several singles on at the same time. But what tended to happen with these, especially the ones with these kind of labels, is they'd spin over each other. So it was easier just to get up and down. Yes, getting up to put the record on again after literally 3 or 4 minutes and not thinking anything of it. Can you imagine that now? So I used to wait for my mum and dad to go out. They'd go around to my mum's sisters or her brothers, and that was my chance to put on Down Down by Status Quo. And I'd put it on, and I would. I wasn't that good on guitar, but what I was good at, no, not an air guitar, although I did get quite proficient at that later on. It was actually the tennis racket. I felt that the tennis racket had the right kind of weight and had the right kind of feel to being like a guitar. So, no, there's no mirror involved, and there are no photographs of this. But yes, I used to play the tennis racket while playing Down Down by Status Quo over and over again, trying to imagine what it must be like to be in a band on stage. And I just love this song so much, and I still do. It's still probably my favourite Status Quo song. It came in the Vertigo Spiral paper sleeve, which I don't have because it's a long time ago, isn't it? Over 50 years ago. And I used to buy these sleeves from Smith's, which is why I think this single probably cost me 48p, because I bought it the same year as Can't Get Enough by Bad Company, and that was 48p. And I used to write a bit of stats on the cover, which is interesting because I pay not that much attention to stats now. But it got to number 7 in December, on the 7th, sorry. It got to what am I talking about? It got to number 1. It was a number 1 hit, top of the hit parade. Number 1 on the 7th of December, 1974. So it was a Christmas single. And it spent 11 weeks on the chart. And I can imagine being at school the following year. I was going to be leaving school. That was a bit apprehensive about what I was supposed to do. I'm going to become a grown-up. But it was the last Christmas before leaving school. So I'd be excited about what Father Christmas is going to bring me that Christmas. In fact, what did Father Christmas bring me that Christmas? He didn't bring me Status Quo. As I said, I didn't ask for that. He brought me Paper Money by Montrose as an album, and I think it also might have been the Christmas where I got January 1973, Uriah Heep Live. Yeah, I think that was what, because Christmas and birthdays was when records came into the house. But for the whole of December, Down Down by Status Quo was the track that I played and imagined myself as I threw all the right shapes with a tennis racket, being the lead tennis racket player of Status Quo in my mind's eye. It was a Rossi Young track, and on the B-side was Night Ride, which was unique to this single, which I played a couple of times. It's okay. But in fact, if you ask me now, how's it go? I can't remember. But Down Down, I played over and over again. I think there might have been one Saturday when I think I'd been invited around to a friend's house, but because of my mum and dad going out and it thought, oh my God, I have a chance to play my records, I decided to stay in. And I think this was the thing, I just get playing and playing it again. So what I'd like to know is there a single or a track? Yeah, shall we do singles? Okay, because those of you who haven't got any vinyl 7-inch singles, it'd be good for you to read the comments for those of us who have. For those of you who have, to realise you're not the only one that may have done this. Or am I about to find out that playing the same track over and over and over again, I'm not asking if anyone else played the tennis racket, okay, so don't have to worry about that. But if you did have a record that you played and played and played, it's actually, this is in such good condition. considering. Let me know in the comments. It'd be great to share our stories, and it'd be just a bit of fun. So thank you for watching, and thank you for being here. Remember, music is the healer and the doctor. Remember to buy a t-shirt if you can. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you can become a Patron YouTube member, you get lots of perks with private communities to join and a virtual pub to come along to twice a month as well. But take care, everybody. Keep spinning those discs, and I'll talk to you all very, very soon.